Gentle opening induction. Soft voice. She. You're safe now. Go ahead. Find a cozy position. Let your shoulders drop. Your arms rest heavy. Let your jaw soft. Your eyes grow slow, heavy. There's no rush here. No tasks to complete. Only this moment. Just you. And the quiet drift of story time. Take a soft breath in. Now again, breathing in like you're sipping warm air from candlelight, and breathing out like exhaling into a misty night sky. With every breath, feel yourself floating gently downward, toward stillness, toward calm, toward sleep. You may hear the hush of night settling outside your window, or the hush inside your mind. All sounds are welcome here. They only help you drift. Oh, if you're ready. Let's begin our story, softly now. Transition to story, setting the stage. Our story tonight begins. In a quiet place tucked far away from time, Stone Monastery rests atop a hill, embraced by wild thyme and creeping ivy. The moon has risen high and pale, silvering the dewdrops along the window ledge. Inside the scriptorium, the world sleeps, except for one soul. A solitary scribe named Brother Thane. The halls are hushed. The last bell matins has long since tolled. Hours ago, yet Thane sits awake, cloaked in wool and stillness, beside a single beeswax candle that paints flickering light across his wrinkled parchment. All around him are scrolls and scripts, bound in leather, pressed with wax seals. But the one before him now, this scroll is something different. Sensory depth, creating a hypnotic world. Can you hear the scratch? Scratch of his quill as it dances over the paper. Listen closely. Feathered nib dipped gently into ink, and drawn across the parchment like the wind stroking the surface of a lake. This is no ordinary ink. It was made earlier that day from crushed oak. Galls, those knotted little growths that form on old trees, mixed with iron salts and a touch of wine. This medieval blend creates an ink that oxidizes as it dries. First it's dark, nearly black. But in moonlight it shimmers, like the wing of a raven gliding through starlight. And Brother Thane, he believes that writing at night gives words a secret soul. That thoughts inscribed in darkness can dream more deeply, see. Long ago, when he first joined the monastery as a boy, he learned the old tradition. Words are not just sounds, they're breath, frozen in ink, dreamlike rhythm, progressing the tale gently, so he waits for the moon to rise high, for the stillest part of the night, when even the mice dare not scurry. When the wind outside is soft enough to hear leaves murmur prayers in the courtyard, only then does he write. Tonight he's copying an ancient fable, one that few even remember now. The story of the mirror beneath the lake. A tale told in low tones. Of a mirror that reflects not your face, but your truest longing. Thane dips his pen again. Slowly, precisely. Each letter curves like a spell. And as he writes, he hums. Not a tune, really, but a rhythm. A sound without words. Like the sigh of warm breath into cool night. Layering relaxation with narrative progression. The candle beside him dances. Not wildly, but with a lull. Its flame curls, bows, and straightens, casting golden shapes that ripple across the stone wall. In the corner, a small brazier smolders faintly. The last embers releasing a hint of burnt cedar and dried lavender. Thane added the herbs himself. It's not for the scent, but for memory. Lavender. His mother had planted it behind their thatched cottage before he ever came to the monastery. Even now, decades later, the smell of it makes him feel safe. Introducing gentle intrigue. Maintaining soft flow. Outside the arched window, an owl hoots once, then twice. Thane pauses. He smiles. He believes owls are the watchers of night wisdom. They guide thoughts safely from the waking world into dream. He returns to his writing, but not hurriedly. No part of this is rushed. In fact, he's certain that scrolls written slow, in silence. Under the blessing of moonlight, carry something that daylight scrolls do not. He believes they carry dreams, and he's not alone. In the archives deep below, there are volumes wrapped in blue silk, labeled in calligraphy, Scripti Luna, writings of the moon. Only scribes who passed the night vigil could write those. Soft looping, encouraging drifting thought. And so the ink flows. Dark at first, then softening to gray, then glowing. Faintly silver, only when the candle flickers just right. He writes the words. Beneath the mirrored lake, your truest heart awaits you, and pauses. He gazes toward the window where the stars blink slowly above. Outside, the breeze carries the scent of crushed rosemary. You might imagine it now. Just a hint. Sharp, and then sweet. Thane will write until the candle grows low, until the stars begin to pale, until dawn touches the hills with its gentle brush of gold. But you, dear listener, you need not stay awake. You can let your own eyes close, let your thoughts wander. The scribe is writing still. His world is quiet, silver-lit, and safe. You are welcome here as long as you like. You're still with us, and that's more than enough. Let yourself relax a little more. Sink just a little deeper into the pillow beneath your head. Feel how warm the blanket has become around your legs, as if the story itself is tucking you in. The candle is still burning. Brother Thane has not left his post. The ink still swirls gently in its dish. The moonlight still glows across the table. Let us return to his side. Quietly now, like a breath that doesn't want to wake the air. Resuming story. A touch of memory. Thane pauses his pen and reaches for a small cloth dappled with old ink stains. Folded neatly beside the scroll, he dabs the tip of his feather quill. Not because it's necessary, but because it's part of his rhythm, his rituals. They soothe him the way lullabies soothe children. The same way this story may be soothing you. A bell chimes from somewhere far off, soft, distant, not the bell tower, but the shepherd's chime. A small iron bell left outside the dormitory. Its tone is warm, almost rounded. The brothers say it rings only when a dreamer sees a memory too beautiful to forget. Thane smiles. He always liked that. Sensory immersion. Describing night. Outside the monastery, the night has thickened. The air is cool, but not cold. The kind of cool that feels like velvet on bare skin. Still. Peaceful. If you stood near the archway door, you might smell the wet stone. The moss that clings between bricks. The earthy perfume of leaves pressed beneath time. Far down the hillside, candlelights flicker in the village windows. Small yellow dots, warm and far away. Most are sleeping. But a few, like Thane, keep vigil. Some with work, some with worry. Some with wandering minds that need a little help drifting, just like you. It's dreamlike focus. Letting listener wander. Now imagine yourself in that same monastery. You are not a visitor. Dad, you are part of the quiet, wrapped in a shawl, sitting beside the fire. Listening to the soft crackle of cedar as it burns low in the brazier, your eyelids grow heavy, but not closed. The light is low, the shadows soft. Everything you hear is gentle. The page turning, the owl calling once more, and the quill. Ever so slowly, inscribing ink that shimmers silver in the light of the moon. Story movement, the scroll's secret. Thane's eyes are beginning to grow tired, but there are only a few lines left. The fable is nearly complete. As he writes the last words, and so the lake knew every heart, and kept their wishes safe within its mirrored depths. He leans back and exhales. You might imagine the sound, quiet breath full of completion and calm. But something draws his eyes downward again, the scroll. The last few words seem to shimmer brighter than usual. He tilts his head, watches. Could it be no? Surely not. And yet, adding soft intrigue, gently mystical. The final line of the scroll begins to ripple. Not move exactly, but hum. Not a sound you can hear with ears, but one that you feel in your chest, the small, silent space between your thoughts. The words seem to glint with a pulse. It's just once, then still. The candle flickers more sharply, then Thane. Ever the quiet soul merely blinks and smiles. He doesn't speak. But if he did, he might whisper. Ah, a true scroll, see, dear listener. It was believed by some scribes that if a scroll was written with pure intention, by moonlight, and completed before first light, the scroll itself could absorb part of the writer's dream, not the kind of dream you dream with eyes closed, but the kind you carry quietly in your chest, the kind that never leaves you, even when forgotten. Weaving in listeners' relaxation, soft repetition. That's why Thane only writes at night, only with moon ink, only when the world is still enough to listen. It's the silence that seals it, the hush that invites magic, and perhaps, just perhaps, it's the same hush wrapping around you now. Here, in this moment, can you feel it? A gentle pull downward, as if the bed beneath you is made of cloud. You are sinking gently into its memory. Thane sets down his quill. His hands are stained with tiny silver flecks, moon ink dried upon his fingertips. He lifts the scroll, rolls it carefully, and wraps it in a strip of soft linen, humming faintly to himself. It will be placed in the blue-bound shelf among the other scripti lunae, but not yet. For now, he rests, leaning back in his chair, letting the fire's warmth cradle his spine. The story he wrote echoes softly in his thoughts. As you drift, you too can carry echoes of this moonlit scriptorium, this hush, this gentle place where stories hum quietly beneath candlelight. The night hasn't ended yet. There's still a glow in the hearth, still ink in the well, still dreams to be written. You've done beautifully to relax this far. So just ease in a little deeper now. Let your body grow heavier. Let the sounds of your day fade softly into the background. And now we return to the monastery on the hill, where Brother Thane is just beginning to drift. Returning to the scene, the scriptorium sleeps. The scroll lies wrapped now, resting upon the corner of his desk. A small ribbon of blue wool holds it closed. Nothing elaborate. Thane never used wax seals unless requested. He believed that dreams should remain soft, easy to open, and never locked away. The candle has grown shorter. Its flame is slower now, dancing like a lullaby. The wax pools gently at the base, soft and golden, like honey waiting to cool. Thane leans his elbow on the table, rubs the pad of his thumb against a faded ink blot on his robe, not trying to clean it, just remembering. He once copied the Book of Hours by hand. It took him 3 winters, 3 entire seasons of silence and snowfall. He still remembers the patterns of frost on the windows as he wrote the Psalms in Latin, and the way the ink froze once in the pot. He had to breathe warm air over it again and again until it stirred and flowed once more. Layering tranquility, the monastery silence up above, in the vaulted dormitory, the other monks sleep. Rows and rows of simple beds. Linen sheets gently rustling when someone shifts. The walls are made of thick stone, cool to the touch in summer, warm only by memory in winter. The wind outside brushes against the shutters, a faint hoosh, then silence again. You may imagine it now. A breeze against ancient wooden beams. A reminder that nature, too, is part of the prayer. In the monastery, silence is not an emptiness. It is full of meaning, full of things that can only be heard when nothing else speaks. A whispered visit, the novice at the door. Just as Thane prepares to rest his eyes, there's a knock. So soft it might be mistaken for a breeze. Tap, tap. He looks up, calm and unstartled. The heavy wooden door creaks open. The young novice peeks inside. His name is Elias, barely 17 winters old, fresh-faced, wide-eyed, still learning when to speak and when to listen. He steps inside holding a small bowl. Warm milk with nutmeg and honey, tradition for scribes who write past matins. Thane smiles faintly, nods his thanks. Elias sets the bowl down beside the scroll, then hesitates. As if waiting for permission to stay a moment, he doesn't speak, but his eyes fall on the blue-bound scroll, introducing gentle lore. Soft dialogue, you wrote a moon script. His voice is barely above a breath. Then tilts his head. Then gently he nods. Elias leans closer, eyes shining. Does it shimmer? Thane lifts the edge of the cloth, reveals just a sliver of the parchment beneath, and yes, there it is, soft gleam, like dew touched by starlight. A line of silver curving in elegant script. The novice stares, transfixed. He whispers, "Is it true that they hold dreams?" Thane considers. His reply is soft and certain. They hold what the night whispers. To those who stay still long enough to hear it. Elias doesn't answer, but his breath slows. A flicker of sleepiness crosses his face, guiding listener into deeper calm. Parallels with Elias. Maybe you feel it too. That moment of calm curiosity, being on the edge of sleep and wonder at the same time, like Elias. Standing near the desk, his eyes heavy, his heart open. He's not meant to be here after matins. But tonight, Thane doesn't mind. The rules are made for structure, but dreams are made for drifting. And so, the elder scribe gestures toward the stool beside the fire. He says gently, and Elias does. Dreamy description. Sleepy sharing. Thane lifts the warm bowl of milk, takes a slow sip, feels the honey melt across his tongue. He offers it to Elias next. The boy sips with both hands wrapped around the bowl, grateful for the comfort, the warmth, the silence. Then Thane begins to speak, not loudly, not even as a story, just as a quiet voice in the quiet night. He tells Elias the old belief that moonlight carries memory, that it doesn't just shin, it listens, and that if you write by it, it remembers with you. Elias nods, his eyes half-lidded now, the fire's glow reflected in his lashes. Thane sees the boy begin to drift, his breath slowing, his body leaning ever so slightly. He sets the scroll aside. He lowers the candle flame. He lets the silence grow again soft and whole. And you, dear listener, are welcome to drift as well. For the monastery watches over its own, and the ink will wait until morning. Sleep now if you like, or stay a while longer. Let the hush of parchment, the scent of cedar and ink, guide you into the gentle fold of your own dreams. You are safe here. Let go of any lingering weight on your shoulders. There's nothing you need to hold on to now, nothing to solve. Only a slow river of words carrying you gently forward. Float back with me, back to the monastery, where dreams are caught in ink, and stories rest quietly under linen cloth. Let's return to Brother Thane, in the flickering candlelight that still hums with something ancient. Resuming the scene, Elias asleep by the fire. The scriptorium is still. Elias, the young novice, has fallen asleep on the stool beside the hearth. His head rests against a folded robe, his breath slow and even. The flickering fire paints soft shadows over his face, shadows that look like drifting clouds. Thane watches for a moment, not with worry, with something softer, perhaps recognition. He, too, was once a boy who found comfort in the quiet. He rises slowly from his chair, his joints creaking faintly like old wood, and drapes a woolen shawl over the sleeping novice's shoulders. It's a kind of gesture made by those who understand. Silence is love. Softness is care. Stillness is protection. Inner reflection. The purpose of night writing Thane returns to his desk. But instead of reaching for another scroll, he opens a small wooden drawer beneath the table. Inside, a small leather-bound journal, no bigger than his hand. It's his private book, not part of the monastery's library, not for records or scripture, or even copied legends. This one is his. A collection of thoughts written only under moonlight, only with the shimmering ink, only when the night feels thick with memory. He opens to a marked page. The parchment makes the faintest crinkle, like dry leaves under soft shoes. The words here don't shout, they whisper. Thoughts like, the moon does not shine, she remembers. A story unfinished is a door left open. Ink is patient, letting listener drift personal connection. And as Thane writes a new line in his journal, you might imagine that you too are holding a quill. Feel the weight of it, light as a feather, balanced between your fingers. Dip it into the ink dark and glistening. Feel the tension just before it touches the page. The pause before creation. Now gently. Write a word. Any word. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't even need to be spelled right. Let it appear in your mind, soft and glowing. Let your imagination trace its shape slowly, like a lullaby with letters. Then let it fade. Like mist dissolving in sunlight. You've written something beautiful tonight, even if no one sees it. The night remembers. It's a gentle legend. The origin of the ink Thane smiles faintly as he writes. His mind drifts to a story, an old legend passed down by the scribes. They say that moon ink was discovered by accident, hundreds of years ago, during a harsh winter. An alchemist ran out of lamp black, the soot used for traditional ink. So he mixed crushed oak galls with iron salts and water from a well that reflected the full moon. When the ink dried, it shimmered. Not always, but only when touched by true quiet. They believed it was the moon's memory, woven into the oak, bound by iron, awakened by intention. Thane never questioned it. Some things he believed were more true when not explained. Scripting stillness. Words for sleep. He sets his journal aside. The words are there. He doesn't reread them. He never does. What matters is the writing, not the reading. The act, not the archive. And perhaps that's what this moment is for you too. Not the story itself, but the way your breath slowed while listening, the way your shoulders sank, and the way your heart felt. Quieter. That's the story's gift. And it's already been given. Soft transition, hinting at the next chapter. Thane rises, stretches gently, and walks to the small window facing east. The moon is still high, but its light has changed, as if preparing to leave. Soon, the monks will rise for lauds, the morning prayer, the bells will toll. The scriptorium will fill with footsteps, but not yet. For now, only Thane is awake, and perhaps you. One more hour of peace. Let your body rest even deeper now. There is no need to move. You are warm. You are safe. You are surrounded by story. The ink is sleeping. The fire has lowered to soft orange coals, and your mind is wrapped in the linen hush of night. Let go. Let go of this hour. Let go of needing to stay awake, and trust that even as you drift away, the story will keep writing itself within you. Feel the warmth of your blanket, the way your breath settles like feathers across your chest. Let your body continue to soften like parchment easing flat beneath a quiet hand. And now, return with me to the quiet monastery atop the hill, to the scriptorium bathed in soft shadows where Brother Thane has just set down his journal. The fire has dimmed to a golden sigh. Elias sleeps by its side. And the ink is waiting. A quiet morning approaches. Soft tension of dawn. Thane stands still at the window, watching the faintest hint of lavender touch the farthest edge of the sky. He doesn't fear the sun, but he honors the hour before it arrives. This was always the most sacred time to him. The space between night and morning, between word and silence, between breath in and breath out. He listens. No bells yet. No footsteps. Just the steady sound of his own breath and the faint rhythm of the novice's dreams. A soft task, preparing the ink again. Returning to his desk, Thane lifts the small brass pot. There's still ink left, but it is settled. He takes a thin sliver of ash wood, stirs the mixture slowly. Listen, can you hear it? The soft swirl, like cream in tea. The whisper of iron salts rising, oak galls dissolving, a moon's memory awakening again. The scent is rich and earthy, like rain after a long sleep. Cool, grounding, peaceful. He sets the pot beside a fresh scroll of parchment. Not to write, but simply to be ready. That's all the ink asks for. To be ready when the dream calls. Gentle flashback. The scribe's first night writing. As Thane settles into his chair, he remembers a night long ago. He was only 20. Still new to the monastery. Still unsure of his hands, his Latin, his place. One of the elder scribe's brother Aldrich had handed him a scroll near midnight. Said only, "Write what you saw in your dream." Thane had paused. He hadn't dreamed of saints or psalms, only of snow falling into a well. But Aldrich only nodded, lit a candle, and set the ink beside him. And so, Thane wrote about snowflakes and silence, and how the stars seemed to fold into the earth when no one was watching. He thought it was foolish, until Aldrich read it, and smiled, and whispered, "Not foolish. Faithful. A night philosophy." Dreams in ink now, all these years later. Thane understands. Not all scrolls must contain sermons. Not every line must echo doctrine. Sometimes a dream captured gently on paper can be holier than a hymn, because dreams are a kind of trust. You offer them without proof, without purpose. Just the hope that someone might read and understand or not. Sometimes the writing is enough, guiding the listener, you as the dream keeper. And maybe tonight you've had dreams too. Strange ones, beautiful ones, fleeting like candle smoke. Don't chase them, just notice. Perhaps in your own way, You are a scribe too, not with ink, but with memory, thought. Each breath you take, each thought you let go, each feeling that gently passes through your heart, you are recording something, not for the world, just for the moon. She sees, she remembers. A final task before sunrise, the scroll gift. Thane looks at the finished scroll on the corner of his desk, the one bound in blue wool. It's meant for someone special. A noble woman in the next valley, blind since birth. She collects scrolls not to read, but to hold. She believes the ink leaves an echo, that if she sleeps beside a scroll, its story weaves into her dreams. So Thane always writes a little softer for her, not with grand words, but quiet ones. Words that don't demand to be understood, only felt. He will send it with the baker's cart at sunrise, a warm loaf, and a dream tucked beneath it, drifting to the edge, preparing for sleep. And now, listener, as the eastern sky begins to glow, as Thane rests his pen and Elias sighs gently in his sleep, let yourself do the same. Let go of your need to stay awake. You've journeyed far tonight. You've listened well. You've imagined deeply. There is no more to do, only to rest. The fire is low. The ink has settled. Your body is weightless. Your thoughts are slower now, like snow falling in a dream. Feel the slow rise and fall of your breath. Let your body sink deeper into softness, each limb like warm candle wax, melting into the mattress beneath you. Outside, somewhere far away, birds may be waking, but in this story, the night still lingers. Let's return to the monastery tucked in hills of time and stone. Let's return to Brother Thane. A moment of stillness. The empty chair. The fire is almost out now. It's just the glowing heart of embers remains, like the last orange petal on a fading rose. Elias still sleeps. Thane still watches the window. But something has changed. Chair beside him. The one Brother Aldrich used to sit in long ago. Creaks softly, though no one touched it. Thane does not startle. Instead, he closes his eyes and smiles. Some say the old scribes return in silence, but they visit just before dawn to see what new stories have been shaped. He does not need to see Aldrich to know. He is near. The quiet confirms it, letting the listener wander. The scriptorium as a mindscape. Imagine for a moment that you're walking through the scriptorium yourself, bare feet on cool flagstone. The scent of aged ink and dried lavender tucked into the corners. You pass shelves of scrolls, rolled tightly and tied with threads of red, blue, and gold. Each one a dream, waiting to be unwrapped. There's a bench by the far wall. You sit. You run your fingers over the grain of the wood, polished smooth by decades of thought. You're not here to write. You're here to feel the quiet. And the quiet welcomes you, a curious artifact. The glass crescent beside Thane's inkwell, there rests a strange object. It's small. A crescent of blown glass, no bigger than a plum. Clear as water, but when held to the moonlight, it reveals letters floating inside. Letters that don't exist in any known language. Some say it came from a traveler, a wandering monk from the east. Others say Thane found it one night after a storm, cradled between two stones like an egg in a nest. He's never tried to understand it, only to respect it. It reminds him that not all meaning comes with translation. Some things, like dreams, simply glow. Thane's ritual. The final line of night before the first bell of morning. Thane has a tradition. One final line, written in silence, never to be copied or read aloud. A line written in the dark, sealed with wax, and tucked into a narrow wooden box beneath his bed. Tonight he dips his quill, lets the ink drip once, then writes, "I heard the stars breathing tonight." He reads it once, smiles, then folds it gently, seals it with gray wax, and slides it into its resting place. Another dream kept safe. Another piece of night preserved, inviting you to rest. Hypnotic closure. And now, dear listener, so should you write your final line for the night? Not with your hand, but with your breath. A single slow inhale. A gentle exhale. That is your story. That is your ink. Let yourself drift, as if you are the parchment now. Blank. Beautiful. Ready to hold dreams. Let go of tension. Let go of needing to think. There are no more pages to turn. The scroll is complete. For now. Outside, the first light begins to pale the sky. But inside, in your world, The moon still watches. She sees you resting. She sees your softness. She sees your unwritten words. She is content. So sleep. Sleep deeply. And if you wish to return to the scriptorium again, you need only whisper. The sky is blooming, faint and slow. A gentle violet where stars begin to fade. Brother Thane watches from the stone archway of the monastery, his hands wrapped in his woolen cloak. The wind is soft here. It brushes his cheeks like a prayer. Below, the valley holds its breath, as if it knows that sunlight waits just behind the hills. Elias is still asleep inside, and the scroll meant for the blind noblewoman rests in a satchel, tucked beside warm bread. There is no rush, only readiness. Listening to the earth. Monastic silence monks used to speak of the earth as a teacher, its quiet mornings, its patient growth, its deep memory. Thane closes his eyes, listens not for sound, but for space. For stillness between notes, like the pause after a bell is rung. This listening, this sacred inner silence, is once called ruminatio, not to be confused with worry, but the act of slowly chewing thought, letting meaning settle, as a cow chews cud in the pasture. A quiet medieval custom of savoring, not rushing. And tonight you two are invited to ruminate in peace. Flashback to a winter letter, when ink froze in the bottle. Thane remembers the coldest night he ever wrote. It was 3 winters past. The firewood had run low, and the ink in his brass pot turned to sludge, so cold it cracked the edge of the feathered quill. But Thane, ever gentle, held the inkwell to his chest, beneath his robes, near his heart, and waited. He sang to it. Softly, an old lullaby, and slowly the ink returned to liquid. He wrote by breathlight. Tiny puffs of air floating above the scroll. What he wrote that night, he never remembered. But the next morning when he read it, he found a prayer in it he didn't know he needed. The listener's role. You are a keeper of soft things. You too, listener, have held soft, fragile things close to your chest. Memories, whispers, secrets, not meant for loud daylight. There is power in that. There's wisdom. In the quiet things we keep warm with nothing but our breath. Maybe you haven't written your story yet. Maybe it's written between the lines. Either way, it's enough. You're enough. Let your body relax even more. Let your chest rise and fall as if you are cradling your own inkwell, warming it with care, with stillness, with love. A visitor at the gate. The quietest knock. Just before sunrise, a sound. Not loud, not urgent, just a knock. 2 soft taps on the old monastery gate. Thane does not rush. He folds his robe carefully, steps into his slippers, takes a single candle with him. Outside a girl stands, no older than 10, wrapped in a cloak 2 sizes too big. In her hands, a scroll, unmarked, unsealed. She doesn't speak. Ainley holds it out, and Thane wordless receives it. Mystery of the scroll. The reader doesn't need to know. He takes it back to the scriptorium, sets it beside the candle, and unrolls it slowly. No name. No signature. Just words. Soft, trembling script, like someone had written them while the ink was still weeping. It reads, I dream of rivers I have never seen. They call me by name I do not yet know. I think I was meant to write back. Thane closes his eyes. Yes, he understands. Some scrolls are not meant to be read out loud, only held, only kept, only dreamt with, guiding you to rest. The echo of sacred words. Perhaps there are rivers in your dreams tonight, places you've never seen but somehow recognize. Let them appear, let them flow. Do not fear them. You are the dreamer, but you are also the scroll. You are both scribe and story. Every breath, a line. Every heartbeat, an ink mark across the sky. You're already writing just by being, and that's more than enough. Outside, the sun is nearly here. But you, kind dreamer, need not rise. Your night is long and gentle, your dreams still unfolding. Stay. Stay in this stillness. The scrolls are not finished. The story continues. There is a bell in the monastery tower. It's old iron, worn smooth at the edges. It is meant to ring for matins, for prayer, for ceremony. But this morning Brother Thane does not ring it. Instead he listens. The air holds its breath, and so does he. There is something sacred in the silence between bells. Not everything holy needs a sound. The dream that lingers after waking, Elias stirs. He rises slowly. Blanket slipping from his shoulder like a forgotten shawl. His hair is tousled, his eyes heavy with the haze of dream. He pads barefoot to the script room and finds Thane still seated by the scroll the girl had delivered. "I had a dream," Elias whispers, as if he were unsure it belonged in the daylight. Thane looks up, his voice barely there. "What did you dream?" The boy closes his eyes. There was a boat made of parchment, sailing across a sea of ink, and your candle was the moon, guiding it home. Thane smiles. "That sounds like a true dream. You are invited. The listener is companion. Dear listener, close your eyes too, if you haven't already. Picture that boat, a boat made of paper folded and creased with care. Its sails shaped like feathers, its hulls stitched with lines of poetry. In the sea, not water, but ink. A dark, shimmering lake of words, unspoken. You are in the boat. There is no oar. You do not need one. The current of the story will carry you gently. Just lean back. Let it rock you. Let the words become the wind." A page from the past. The illuminator's gift in the scriptorium's lowest drawer. Thane keeps a single page. It's older than him. Older than the monastery, perhaps. It's not words, but light. A golden arch drawn by hand, surrounding a bird with emerald wings. Illuminated manuscripts, they were called, books that glowed with gold leaf, tiny hammered flakes so thin they could float like dust. In the 13th century, monks would breathe carefully to avoid blowing the gold away. They worked for months, sometimes years, to make one page. Thane keeps this page not to show, but to remember, that some beauty is made only in silence. The candle that flickered with meaning. As the morning brightens, Thane's candle begins to flicker. Not from wind, but from something else. A rhythm, like breath. Elias watches. He thinks it's the candle dancing with the scroll. Perhaps ink and flame speak in ways only scribes understand. And Thane nods. Words, he says softly, are born of fire and shadow. Breathing into sleep, deepening the listener's calm. And now, gentle one, I invite you to breathe with me again. Inhale slowly, through the nose. Let your belly rise gently. Exhale, through the mouth. Let it all go. Your day, your thoughts, the world beyond this moment. Again, inhale, hold, exhale. Feel yourself drifting, not away, but inward. You are becoming part of the story now, the scribe's companion, a keeper of quiet things, curious discovery. Ink that changed color later that morning as sunlight slides across the scrolls. Thane notices something. The letter from the girl. Its ink has changed. Where once it was deep black, now it shimmers faintly blue. He gently lifts the page, turns it toward the light. Invisible ink was not unknown in medieval times. Scholars used lemon juice, milk, even sweat to write secret messages. This is not that. This ink seems to know when it's being seen. A living script. Thane presses a hand to his chest. He doesn't understand it fully, but he doesn't need to. Some mysteries are meant to be befriended, not solved. Let this be your mystery too. Let there be things you do not need to figure out tonight. Let your body rest in the unknown. Let your thoughts slow like ink drying on parchment. Let your breath become the candle. Let your silence become the scroll. Sleep is writing you now. And if you'd like the next chapter to unfold, you need only whisper. Beneath the monastery, beyond the cold stone hall and a narrow spiral stairway few dare to take, there lies a room wrapped in silence. It is not large. It holds no grand tomes or gilded covers. Just a single wooden shelf, warped with age, and lined with scrolls that have no names. They're called the Forgotten Voices, writings of monks too shy to sign. Poems left behind by visiting pilgrims. Letters to saints, or to no one at all. Thane visits this room once a week, not to read, but to listen. He sits cross-legged on the floor, hands folded, eyes closed. He says the scrolls speak in their own way, not in words, but in warmth. You may imagine it now, the quiet click of the lock, the rustle of ancient paper, the deep, listening stillness that hugs you like a quilt. The curious use of silence in medieval prayer. In the 12th century, some monastic orders adopted what they called the Great Silence. From nightfall until dawn, no one would speak, not even a whisper. If one needed to pass, they'd lower their eyes and press 2 fingers to their lips in greeting. Silence wasn't absence. It was reverence. It wasn't empty. It was full. Full of intention. Full of waiting. Tonight, you are part of this tradition. You are keeping company with silence, not as a void, but as a friend. Let that comfort you. You do not have to say a thing. You are enough, just being here. The dream script that night, Elias returns to the scriptorium, but not with parchment or ink. He comes holding a dream. May I try something? He asks. Thane nods and brings a fresh scroll. But Elias does not write with the quill. He closes his eyes and begins to trace letters in the air. With his finger, slowly, as if carving the sky. There is no ink. But Thane sees it anyway. The way his hands move. Graceful, unsure, sacred. After several minutes, Elias opens his eyes. I think the dream has been written, he whispers. And though the scroll remains blank, Thane nods again. Some writings, he knows, are meant for the soul alone, guiding the listener deeper, sleep by soft imagery. And you, kind listener, you are invited now to write your own dream script, not with pen, not with keyboard, but with breath. Inhale. Slowly, let your chest rise like the morning mist. Exhale, softly. Let go of the day, as if blowing dust off a forgotten page. Again, inhale. Hold. Exhale. You are writing peace across your mind. Line by line. Sigh by sigh. This moment is yours. There is no wrong way to rest. It's a monastery cat and its secret. The monastery has only one cat. Its name is Milo, and it walks like it owns every stone in the cloister. Milo sleeps all day in the sunniest window, but at night it patrols the library. Many say Milo can read. Yeah, that it stares at open books not with curiosity, but with knowing.
Elias
Once followed him, and swore he saw Milo resting on an open page of Thane's dream scroll. The next morning, the ink had rearranged itself. A new line had appeared. It said only, "The watcher walks in silence, but his paws remember everything." Thane chuckled for days. Ever since, he's left a tiny pillow near the books. The listener's secret companion. Perhaps, dear listener, you too have a secret companion. Cat, a memory. A small voice that lives in the quietest corners of your mind. Invite it now. Let it curl beside you. Let it purr if it likes. You are not alone in this night. There is a Milo for every dreamer. There is a scribe watching over every sleepless soul. And you are being held gently in this ancient warmth. The moon is high now. Its silver threads slip through the stained glass windows and settle across the scriptorium floor. The candle wicks grow short, but their glow remains steady. Ink bottles rest. Scrolls breathe softly, and you, dear dreamer, are almost completely at peace. The story is not yet done, but your breath has slowed. Your thoughts have softened. If you'd like to journey onward, to hear what the next scroll reveals, you need only whisper. In the quiet of that velvet morning, the wind shifts. A soft flutter, like silk torn from the sky. And then, just beneath the heavy monastery door, a scroll appears, bound in twine, sealed with wax. The seal is different this time. It's not the symbol of a town or noble crest, but the gentle outline of a feather. Elias picks it up with careful hands. He holds it to his chest, as if it might whisper to his heartbeat. Thane watches him with kind eyes. Some letters, he knows, are meant to be read, slowly, with silence in between each word. And so they sit by the hearth and read it aloud, together. The Secret of Oak Gall Ink, a medieval wonder. Before they open the letter, Thane offers a small side tale, memory wrapped in fact. You know, he begins, voice like wind on parchment, the ink you see on that scroll, it likely comes from the gall of an oak. Elias tilts his head, curious. In medieval times, Thane continues, scribes would gather small bulbous knot skulls from oak trees, formed when certain wasps lay their eggs beneath the bark. He stirs the embers softly with a fire stick. They'd grind them, Mix them with iron salts, and just like that black ink, ink that could last for centuries, ink that turned darker with time. Elias smiles. So the trees helped us, right? Thane nods. Even the trees had stories to tell. A voice from the ink. The listeners invited again. And you, gentle dreamer. Close your eyes a little deeper now. Let your breath fall quieter. Imagine the oak tree. Tall, patient, its branches heavy with time. Beneath one branch, a small wasp leaves a gift, a gall, a knot of mystery. And somewhere, a scribe finds it, grinds it, mixes it, and from this strange natural alchemy comes ink. That ink now lives on a page, whispering its way to you, even now, even here, even as you rest. The letter's message. A map made of stars. The scroll is unrolled. Its parchment is aged and soft, edges curled like the petals of a sleeping flower. Inside, no words at all, only stars. Tiny ink dots, scattered across the page in a curious pattern. Elias frowns. A sky, he whispers. But Thane is already smiling. He goes to a locked cabinet, brings out a small bronze disc, etched with constellations. He lays it gently over the scroll. One by one, the stars begin to match. It's a map, he says softly. Not to a place, but to a time, the celestial clocks of the monks in the 14th century. Benedictine monks crafted their own star calendars. They'd watch the heavens, chart the position of Venus, follow the rhythm of the moon. One abbey in Bavaria kept a map so precise they could predict full moons a decade in advance. For the monks, the sky was not just beauty, it was order. It was sacred time, measured not by clocks but by constellations. Tonight, Thane and Elias hold such a map, a time not written in numbers, but in stars. Deep sleep invitation, drifting among stars. Now, dear listener, let's drift with them. You're lying beneath that very sky. The stars blink gently above, like the smallest candles ever lit. You are not cold. You are not afraid. You are wrapped in robes of night, head resting on moss, and the whole universe is your ceiling. Inhale gently, as if breathing in starlight. Exhale, as if blowing wishes to the moon. You are safe. You are timeless. Let go. Fall softly into the folds of night. The hidden message revealed. Thane lights a drop of oil, then tilts the scroll toward its warmth. The stars begin to shimmer, not with light, but with language. Letters emerge from between the dots, as if born from the ink itself. Elias leans in, reading aloud, slow and reverent. To the scribe who dreams with open eyes, this map leads not to treasure, but to truth. When the stars align and silence is full, the ink will speak again, a pause, then. And when the ink speaks, listen not with ears, but with breath. And now, peaceful one, rest your breath as if it were the very scroll. Let each inhale be a soft line of script. Let each exhale be a space between words. The candle still flickers. The ink still dreams. The story still lingers, but for now, you may sleep beneath stars. If your heart asks for more, and your mind is not yet adrift in dreams, just whisper. After the scroll of stars, Elias cannot sleep. Something about those inked constellations calls to him. So he tiptoes down the hall, past the library, and through the candlelit scriptorium, nearly silent. Just the soft tapping of a moth against stained glass, and the hush of the wind tracing the stone walls. He's staring at the mural again, the faded one behind Thane's desk. It shows a robed figure, writing not with a quill, but with a beam of light. And just beneath the robe's hem, in the mural's corner, Elias notices something new. A shape, square and dark, like a hidden panel, reaches out, and the stone gives way. Medieval hidden doors. Fact in the fable in many medieval abbeys, particularly those in England and France, hidden passageways were not legend. Fact. Some led to secret gardens, some to emergency escape tunnels, or underground crypts for storing relics too sacred to be seen. Others were simply silent places used for quiet prayer or private thought. The monks called them listening rooms, small chambers where one could speak only to the silence, and perhaps hear something back. Elias descends. The listener drifts. The panel creaks open. Beyond it, a staircase carved into stone. Spiraling downward, each step worn with the memory of centuries. Elias steps carefully. You may walk beside him now, in your imagination. The air's cooler here, damper. Each breath feels ancient, like inhaling history itself. At the bottom, a room, small, round, lit by one single candle that never seems to melt. And in the center, a table with no ink, no scrolls. Only a bowl of water, the scribe's reflection ritual. Thane would later tell Elias that this chamber was once used by scribes when their hearts felt heavy. The bowl, filled with spring water, was believed to reflect not the face, but the soul, a mirror for what words could not say. They would sit in silence, hands folded, and stare gently into the water, until the ripples told them something new. No voices, no visions, just stillness. And sometimes, that was enough. Sleep invitation, the still bowl of breath. Now, you are invited too. Close your eyes and imagine that bowl. Imagine its surface perfectly still. The water is cool, clear, calm. Your breath is the only thing that touches it. Inhale slowly, and a single ripple moves across the water. Exhale gently, and the ripple disappears. You are watching your soul rest. No need to fix, or search, or stir. Just witness. You are whole, even in stillness. Especially in stillness. The monastery bell that rang with no one there, as Elias stares into the bowl. Sound echoes softly through the stone corridor. Dunin, the low hum of the monastery bell. But it's the middle of the night. No one should be ringing it. Elias climbs the stairs again, heart calm, not fearful. When he reaches the top, the bell tower is empty. But the bell still sways, and they're tied gently to the bell's clapper. Is a scroll, short, simple, tied in silver thread, unties it carefully. The message inside reads, "You've begun to hear what ink cannot say. Let silence be your new pen, listener's quill. A sleep tool for the soul tonight. You too are a scribe of silence. You don't need a quill. You don't need parchment. Your pen is your stillness. Your scroll is your breath. Your ink is trust. You are writing peace across the inside of your mind. With each breath, you inscribe stillness more deeply, a soft spiral inward, toward the gentle truth at your center. Sleep, dear listener, is not an escape. It is a return to the self, the stars, the soundless ink of dreaming. The bell no longer swings, but its echo lives on, not as sound, but as memory. Elias stands beneath the tower, scroll in hand, the stars above, like freckles on the sky. He doesn't need to read more. He feels the message now, as do you. Let your thoughts quiet. Let your limbs rest. Let your dreams rise like ink under moonlight. And if you wish to follow Elias and Thane into the next chamber of night, the next story hidden in starlight, you need only whisper. The next morning arrives wrapped in mist. Monastery grounds are hushed. Even the birds seem to whisper. Elias finds Thane not in the scriptorium, but in the orchard, gathering apples with slow, thoughtful hands. There's a softness in his eyes today. A memory, perhaps, unfolding gently like a scroll. Without words, Elias walks beside him, and after a long, quiet breath, Thane begins to speak. "I wasn't always here," he says. "Once, I wandered. Wrote for kings, for coins, not for peace." He pauses, placing an apple into the woven basket. "But one winter I fell ill in a village I couldn't name. A monk found me in the snow, took me in, wrapped me in warmth, and asked me only one thing." Elias looks up. Thane smiles faintly. He said, "Will you write for silence now?" Monastic hospitality. The unexpected kindness of the medieval era. In the medieval world, monasteries often served as places of refuge. Travelers, the sick, the hungry, even wandering strangers were welcomed, bathed, fed, and allowed to rest. It was called hospitalitas, a sacred duty. Even the poorest monks would share their bread, believing that every guest might be an angel in disguise. And so, many scribes like Thane were not born into monastery walls, but found shelter there and stayed. Because peace, once offered freely, is hard to leave behind. Apple blossoms and gentle sleep imagery. Now, dear listener, rest with the orchard. Imagine you're there, walking barefoot through soft grass. The branches hang low, heavy with red apples, and some blossoms still drift, like forgotten snow. The air smells of earth and ripeness. You pluck one apple gently. It is warm from the sun. You take a bite. It tastes like childhood. It tastes like coming home. Inhale deeply. Let the orchard live inside your lungs. Exhale, and the trees whisper, "Thank you." The gift of the midnight guest. That evening, as Elias prepares to copy another scroll, he finds a folded cloth left upon his desk. He touches it gently. Inside, a quill, but not any quill. Its feather is silver white, from a bird he doesn't recognize. Beside it, a note handwritten in an unfamiliar style. This quill once belonged to Brother Aurelian. He wrote with Moonlight, too. May it guide your hand when dreams are near. Thane enters quietly, smiles at the sight. Aurelian was the first scribe to use oak gall ink in this monastery, he says softly. He said dreams spoke best when written by night. Real medieval quills. More than just feathers. Medieval quills were often cut from goose, swan, or crow feathers. The best were harvested in spring, when the feather's core was strongest. Scribes would cure them in hot sand to harden the shaft, then trim and shape the tip with a small knife called a penknife. It was delicate work, a meditative act in itself, and a well-made quill could last for months, singing across parchment like wind through reeds. Some monks believed that a quill retained the spirit of the bird it came from, so writing was not done alone, but in quiet partnership, you and the silver quill. Sleep visualization. Now, dear listener, imagine that silver-white quill in your own hand, its feather soft and curved. Its tip just touching a blank scroll. There's no pressure to write, no need to perform, just the promise that whatever comes from your hand is enough. You begin slowly, each stroke a breath, each curl a sigh. The ink flows gently, silver in the candlelight. And with every line you feel your thoughts soften, your heart beats slow. You are writing yourself into sleep. The night of shared silence that night, Elias and Thane sit in the scriptorium together. No words, just two quills, two minds, two hearts moving in silence. The fire crackles, ink glimmers. Outside, the wind sighs through ivy-covered stone. Inside, peace is a steady rhythm. Scratch, breathe, scratch, breathe. Until finally, Elias lays his quill down and speaks just one sentence. I feel like I've written a dream. Thane nods. Then your ink has done its work. Sleep message. Dream written. Now dream lived. Dear soul, you too have written a dream tonight. Not with pen, but with breath. Not on parchment, but within your own quiet mind. Let go now of the words. Let the ink dry. The dream has been captured. It's time to live it in sleep. So close your eyes once more. And if they're already closed, sink deeper. Let your limbs go heavy. Let your thoughts blur like wet ink in moonlight. The next scroll will wait until tomorrow. For now, you rest. The silver quill lies still. Parchment curls softly with night air. The candle sighs. And Elias dreams not in words, but in warmth. The next morning dawns slowly, light falling like silk across the stone floors. The monastery stirs with a sleepy reverence. Elias awakens early, drawn by a dream he can't quite recall. It showed a tree ancient and hollow, its roots curling like calligraphy into the earth. Inside, a doorway glowed. Later that day, Thane hands him a key. It's carved from bone, cool and light in his palm. Time to visit the root library, Thane says, his voice a breeze through memory. Medieval underground libraries. Truth in the whisper, few know that some medieval monasteries housed hidden libraries, not just for protection, but to preserve sacred knowledge from war, weather, or even wandering eyes. These underground rooms were cool, dark, and lined with oak shelves. Their scrolls were often wrapped in cloth soaked with lavender or rosemary to keep pests away. Some even believed certain tomes were too spiritually potent to store above ground. They were kept beneath the roots, both literally and symbolically. To read them was to descend into wisdom, to the earth. Descent, visualization for sleep. Now imagine, dear listener, you're following Elias down a narrow passage. The walls are rough stone, The scent of damp earth and lavender fills your lungs. You carry a small lantern, its glow, golden and soft. Each step downward is slower, softer. With every gentle descent, your mind becomes quieter. Your muscles uncoil. You're moving towards stillness. You're safe beneath the earth, protected. At the bottom, a great wooden door, covered in carvings of roots, leaves, and unreadable letters. Elias turns the key. It opens without sound. The library of echoed thoughts inside. The library is silent and not empty, just hushed. Scrolls line the walls, each glowing faintly, as if remembering being written. There's no dust here, no spiderwebs. Just memory and breath and silence. Elias walks slowly. He doesn't choose a scroll. A scroll chooses him. It's small, bound in twine. The leather is worn. He unrolls it gently, and instead of words, the page is covered in drawings, waves eyes. A sleeping bird curled into itself. Thane, now beside him, whispers. Some stories don't need words. Scribal illumination, art instead of text. In the Middle Ages, some scribes became illuminators, those who decorated manuscripts with illustrations instead of just letters. Gold leaf, blue lapis paint, and even crushed beetle shells were used to bring life to a page. It was believed that pictures could speak to the soul in ways words could not. These images were called silent sermons, and monks would often meditate on a single picture for hours until it revealed its secret meaning. Silent sermons for the soul. Sleep visualization. You too, dear listener, hold a scroll of pictures now. In your mind's eye, unroll it slowly. Let each image unfold before you, as softly as a dream forming in the dark. A cloud shaped like a sleeping dragon, a candle melting into the stars, a staircase that ends in the sky. Each one is a message, but not for your mind, for your breath, your pulse, your quiet center. You don't need to understand, only to witness and drift. The forgotten word. Later that night, Elias returns to the scroll. Under the flickering light of a single candle, he sees something new. A word, small and delicate almost, hidden. Written in ink so faint, it seems to vanish if you stare too hard. Somniora. Thane leans in, eyes thoughtful. A lost tongue, he whispers. Some say it means to sleep inside a dream. Others, to write what only silence hears. Elias touches the word, and for a moment, he isn't sure if he's awake or already dreaming. Somniora. Sleep's gentle embrace. Tonight, gentle dreamer. You too carry that word with you. Somniora. Say it softly in your thoughts. Let it hum beneath your breath. Let it curl like a ribbon of sleep around your shoulders. This is not ordinary rest. This is dream-filled rest. Ink-soft, moonbound, root-deep rest. Let go of today. Let go of even tomorrow. You are wrapped in a word older than language. You are held in sleep's gentle script. The scroll is rolled again. The lantern flickers. Elias tucks the message into his robe, presses one palm to his heart, and breathes. One long, quiet breath. So may you. The night waits with another chapter. If you would like to follow the wordless scroll deeper still into dream's warm cathedral, you need only whisper. In the monastery, time is marked not by clocks, but by bells, soft, low tones, each one a breath between earth and sky. Before the sun even considers rising, matins rings out. A single chime, then another. The night is not over, but is nearing its close. Elias stirs in his cot, blankets tangled from dreams he cannot name, but he doesn't rise, not yet. Instead, he listens to the slow rhythm of bells, to the sound of others waking gently, rustling robes, creaking wood. Outside, the stars begin to fade. Inside, the hush deepens, the rhythm of monastic life, Benedictine sleep cycles. In the medieval world, monks followed a strict daily rhythm called the divine office. 8 prayer times spread evenly across day and night. Matins was the first, often held between midnight and 3 a.m. To modern ears, this might seem disruptive, but in truth, it created a kind of segmented sleep, now recognized by sleep historians. Monks would rest early in the evening, wake for a time to pray, read, or write. and then return to their beds for a second, deeper sleep. Some believed the hours between sleep were when visions came easiest, when dreams left behind their meanings like footprints in snow. Midnight wakefulness, sleep visualization. So now, dear dreamer, imagine yourself gently waking, not from exhaustion, but from peace. You sit on the edge of your soft cot. The candle beside you burns low. The room is warm, stone walls cradling you like a cocoon. You stretch slowly, fingers brushing cool linen sheets. Outside the small window, the moon glides silently through the clouds. You rise not out of need, but because something inside you whispers. There is something waiting to be written. The inkwell beneath the stars, Elias walks to the scriptorium. The halls are empty, but alive with memory. He carries the silver quill in his robe. The word Somniora hums softly in his chest. Tonight he will not copy scripture. Tonight he will write something new. He dips the quill into a deep black ink. Oak, gall, and iron salt, aged with rose oil and a sliver of silver leaf. As it touches parchment, it shimmers faintly. Just as Thane said. The moonlight slips through the window and bathes his hand. And so he writes, not with thought, but with breath. Not with plan, but with peace. The silver ink. Real alchemy of the page. Oak gall ink was one of the most stable and durable inks of the medieval world. It was made from the strange round growths on oak trees' galls combined with iron salts from rust or spring water. When freshly made, the ink was nearly invisible, but upon drying, it darkened permanently. Some monks added tiny bits of silver dust or ground pearl for ceremonial texts, believing it brought divine clarity. To write with it by moonlight was not superstition, but sacred timing. Night was quiet. Night listened better. Sacred night, sleep visualization. You too hold a quill now. Its tip hovers just above the page of your mind. There is no rush, no deadline, no fear. The room around you is warm. Stone walls, wooden beams, the faint scent of candle wax and cedar. Outside, the world sleeps. Inside, you float in stillness. You write without words. Me. You dream without images. You simply are. And that is enough. The scroll Zeynep brought was written in a form of Andalusi Arabic, elegant and flowing. Its letters danced with such beauty that they seemed drawn by wind rather than hand. Elias, though unfamiliar with its grammar, recognized echoes of Latin, and even older symbols tucked into the margins. Symbols from a time before parchment, before cathedrals. Symbols carved into cave walls by firelight and breath. He laid the scroll on the wide cedar desk. The monastery was quiet now, the brothers asleep once more in their cells. Only Elias and Zeynep remained awake, the faint scent of rosewater and ink lingering in the air. Sleep visualization. Candlelit translation. Now close your eyes. Imagine yourself seated beside them. A tall candle flickers slowly in its iron holder. The shadows on the walls sway gently, as if bowing to the silence. Zeynep speaks not with urgency, but with grace. This scroll was passed to me from my grandmother, she says, and to her from a poet who never wrote his name, only his dreams. She gently touches the parchment, as if it were alive. Elias nods and begins to read aloud in the softest voice imaginable. Each word sounds like falling petals, a language that doesn't just speak, it sings in your bones. Medieval memory, the art of mnemonics. In the medieval world, scribes were trained not just to write, but to remember. They used a technique called a memory palace, a mental space where thoughts were stored as images in rooms. A poem might be kept in a garden of statues. A prayer might rest upon the stair of a golden tower. Zeynep's scroll was like that. A memory palace written on silk. Each line held a picture. Each picture, a story. And slowly, gently, Elias began to step into it. The Garden of Dusk, a dream inside the scroll. The words on the scroll told of a garden, one that bloomed only at night. Its petals opened when the moon rose, its scent woven with saffron and myrrh. In the garden, the air was always warm, the breeze forever kind. At the center of the garden stood a fountain that sang, not water, but sound. Soft lullabies in a language forgotten by time. Those who drank from it were said to dream of their true name, the name the stars gave them before they were born. Sleep visualization. You walk the garden now. And now, listener, you walk there too. Barefoot upon velvet grass, beneath a sky deep in indigo. The flowers open as you pass. Some shine pale blue, others glow like embers. You walk without fear. There is no need to speak. Ahead, the fountain awaits, its surface glimmering with echoes. You kneel beside it, and hear the softest sound. A lullaby that seems meant for you. You lean in and drink. It tastes like quiet, like calm, like your truest self. Elias dreams while awake. Back in the scriptorium, Elias doesn't realize how long he's been reading. His eyes drift closed, but the quill in his hand still moves, guided by breath, by starlight, by the rhythm of the words he no longer reads, but feels. Zeynep watches silently. She knows what's happening. He is dream writing now. It is rare, sacred, to write without waking, as if the soul itself had taken hold of the pen. Medieval dream writing. Fact woven into fiction, some medieval mystics believed that the most divine words came not from study, but from dream. There were entire books filled with visions received in sleep. The mystic Hildegard von Bingen, for example, described waking dreams that poured into her as golden light. She dictated entire symphonies and manuscripts while in this trance-like state. Elias had entered that space now, a thin veil between waking and dreaming, where the ink becomes a key and the parchment a mirror. You too are dream writing, sleep visualization. You hold a quill again. Its weight is light, its motion effortless. You write not to impress, not to share, but because something inside you longs to be released. The words come in waves. They are slow, gentle. You don't need to know what they mean. You only need to feel them. Each stroke of the pen brings more calm, more stillness. You're not just falling asleep now. You are falling inward, into a garden of dreams, into a scroll of silver moonlight, into the warm hush of everything you are becoming. The final line of the scroll, when Elias finally places the quill down, the candle has burned low. Zeynep reads the final line he wrote, one that wasn't in the scroll before. It says simply, "The scribe's hand may sleep, but the ink will always remember the stars." She touches his shoulder. He is half asleep, but smiling. As are you. The scroll is finished. The message clear. Not in language, but in feeling. You are safe. You are starlit. You are drifting into deeper rest, held in the gentle breath of ancient dreams in silver ink. When you are ready to hear the next piece of Elias and Zeynep's tale, when a new scroll arrives, carried by wind and wonder, whisper again. Outside the scriptorium, the bells of matins began to toll, low, gentle, like the distant sound of a river over stone. The hour was early, perhaps 3 o'clock, that liminal time between night and morning when dreams whisper their softest truths. Elias blinked awake. Zeynep was still at his side, her eyes reflecting candlelight, her hands resting atop the translated scroll, as if guarding it with silence. They had not slept, yet neither felt tired. Not in the way the body tires. Instead, they felt full of something deeper than rest. A kind of spiritual warmth that seemed to hum just beneath the skin. Sleep visualization. The bells in the sky. Imagine now that you are standing on a high balcony of the monastery. The bells are ringing, softly calling, not just the monks, but the sky itself to attention. Above you, the stars fade slowly as the first brushstroke of dawn paints the horizon in lavender and pearl. You breathe in the cool, clean air. It tastes like dew and quiet hope. And below you, in the still sleeping cloisters, the monastery rests like a dreaming stone giant. Nothing moves too quickly here. Nothing rushes. Let yourself fall into that rhythm. Unhurried, untroubled, you are where you need to be. The legend of the inkstone. After matins, Zeynep led Elias through a quiet corridor lined with shelves of rare texts and relics. She paused before a small wooden door, unlocked it with a key that looked carved from bone. Inside, a single object sat on a velvet cloth, an inkstone. But not just any inkstone. This, she whispered, belonged to Altastari, a Persian mystic, who believed ink could store dreams. Just as glass holds light, the inkstone was smooth and obsidian dark. surface glimmering with faint etchings, stars, rivers, and what appeared to be a sleeping eye. It said, Zeynep added, that whoever writes with ink from this stone will dream not of the past or future, but of the soul. Sleep visualization, the inkstone's gift. Now, close your eyes once more. Picture yourself seated before that ancient stone. A bowl of clear water waits at your side. You add a pinch of crushed oak gall, a drop of iron salt, and stir. The ink darkens, not too black, but to something deeper, like the color of midnight at the bottom of a well. You dip your brush on a blank page. You begin to write not in letters, not in language, but in soft, curling lines that seem to move with your breath. Each stroke releases tension from your shoulders. Each curve quiets your thoughts, until, at last, the page is filled with stillness, medieval belief, dreams as divine letters. In some monastic traditions, it was believed that dreams were letters from God, messages too subtle to understand with waking eyes. And so monks would record their dreams in small journals beside their beds. They called these books somnieri, sleep books. Elias had never kept one, but that morning he began. With ink from the old stone and Zeynep's soft presence beside him, he wrote not what he saw, but what he felt in dreams. He wrote of gardens with moonlit fruit, of a scribe with wings made of quills, of a fountain that laughed in 5 languages. And when he finished, Zeynep whispered, "You are ready." A journey beyond the monastery. There was a reason Zeynep had come, a reason beyond translation. There were other monasteries older, more hidden, where the art of dream writing was still practiced in secret. One such place lay days away, atop a mountain where no roads led. She had come to find a companion, someone whose spirit leaned just far enough into the stars, and Elias was that soul, a sleep visualization, packing for a journey. Now, listener, imagine you are preparing for that journey too. It is early morning. The mist clings gently to the earth. You pack not clothes or gold, but quiet things. A journal with soft leather binding, a feather found in a library stairwell, a vial of ink that smells like pine and rain. You wear a cloak of midnight blue, lined with threads of silver. You step out into the fog, the monastery behind you, the world ahead. Not in haste, but in stillness. Each step is a lullaby. Each breath a pause in a sacred song. You are going somewhere ancient and utterly yours. The monastery sleeps again, but the path opens wide, lined with forgotten leaves and remembered stars. You, Elias, and Zeynep walk it now. No map needed, just trust, just quiet. The knowing that the story continues exactly when it should. When you are ready for the road to rise again beneath your feet, simply whisper. The path stretched out like ribbon silver, dipped and dew soft, winding through fog-draped trees and over sleepy hills. Zeynep led with practiced ease, her boots barely disturbing the petals that had fallen from the chestnut trees above. Elias walked just behind, his pack light, his heart even lighter. The monastery had been his world, but the world was so much wider than he'd known. Out here. With no bells, no parchment to prepare, just silence and wind. He felt truly awake. Sleep visualization. The forest breathes. Imagine now, you are walking this quiet path yourself. Feel the gentle give of moss beneath your feet. Hear the hush of branches swaying like lullabies. Smell the cool scent of fern and old wood, earth warmed by morning light. A small bird sings once, then flutters away. The forest doesn't ask anything of you. It simply accepts you. As you are, as you've always been. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath grow slower. This is a place made for rest, a medieval custom. The ink pilgrims. Not many know this. But in some regions of medieval Spain and Anatolia, scribes who completed 10 years of service would be sent on an ink pilgrimage. Not a journey of gold or relics, but a walk of spirit. They believed that once every decade, the hand that writes must be retraced to the soul that guides it. And so, scribes would walk alone or with a guide, following ancient routes known only to libraries and whispered by candlelight. Elias was one such scribe now, a pilgrim of the page, soft camp beneath stars. As night began to bloom once more, Zeynep and Elias found a clearing ringed with birch trees. They laid a simple cloth, lit a single lantern, and shared bread with olive oil and figs. The stars watched quietly overhead. Zeynep unrolled a small scroll. On it were painted tiny dots and lines, a constellation map, used by traveling scholars in centuries past to navigate not only land, but ideas. "We'll follow the scholar's spine," she whispered, tracing the pattern of stars with her fingertip. "It always leads toward knowledge and dreams worth chasing, like sleep visualization sleeping under the stars. Now imagine you're curled beneath a heavy wool blanket, soft as cloud and smelling faintly of lavender and firewood. The lantern's glow flickers warmly. A gentle wind rustles the leaves above, and overhead, a blanket of stars unfolds. Each star is a story. Each breath you take adds a new chapter to the sky. Your thoughts drift upward, loose and weightless. You feel safe. And slowly, you begin to slip into sleep. The dream scroll. That night, Elias dreamed, not of castles or monks or inkstones, but of a scroll that never ended. It unraveled across valleys and streams, through cities and caves. Its parchment covered not in words, but in music. Each step he took across its surface played a different tone, like walking across a harp. He awoke with the tune still lingering in the back of his throat. Zeynep smiled when he told her. "That is the dream of the endless archive," she said softly. "Only a few ever reach it. A medieval belief, music of the spheres, in the Middle Ages. Many scholars believed in the music of the spheres, a celestial harmony created by the movement of stars and planets. It wasn't music you could hear with ears, but with the soul. Some scribes thought that writing late at night, when the stars were clearest, allowed them to tap into that silent symphony. Elias had felt it. That shimmering stillness, that soft song beneath the ink. And now, with every step of their journey, he felt closer to its source. Sleep visualization. The song beneath the silence. Now close your eyes again. You are seated on a soft, mossy bank, a brook gently babbling nearby. No words are spoken, but all around you, there is music. The low hum of wind through reeds, the soft trickle of water over stone, the rhythmic thrum of your own heart. This is the song beneath the silence. Let it cradle you now. Let it sway your thoughts like leaves on water. No need to do anything more. Just float. A map written in dreams. As dawn arrived again, Zeynep took out a small scrap of vellum. "It's time," she said, "for you to write your own way forward." Elias stared at the blank page. He dipped his brush in moonlit ink, closed his eyes, and let his hand move without thought. The marks he made weren't letters. They were shapes, paths, stars. A map written in dreams. Zeynep looked at it quietly, then nodded. The mountain awaits, with every step through this tale. You've walked deeper into stillness, into wonder, to a dream with no hurry. You've learned of monks who dreamt in ink, of constellations that guide the soul, silence that sings beneath the stars. As Elias and Zeynep step toward the final mountain, you two may find. Your dreams feel closer. We will continue this tale soon, but for now, breathe, rest, and when you're ready, whisper once more. The mountain rose in the distance, not jagged or cruel, but smooth and layered, like the folds of a sleeping giant. Its paths were silent, paved with flat stones worn smooth by the feet of centuries of travelers. Zeynep and Elias walked without speaking, for it was said that sound echoed too clearly on this mountain, and that careless words could wake ancient memories best left sleeping. At the summit, they would find the last scroll of the pilgrimage, not written in ink, but in silence. Sleep visualization, climbing softly. Now, imagine your feet touching each quiet stone. There's no rush, no destination too far. The path curves gently upward. Cool wind brushes your cheeks, and the higher you go, the lighter your body feels. Above you, clouds drift lazily across a velvet sky. Birds soar quietly in the distance. You feel tall, you feel free. Each step, each breath, pulls you farther from worry and closer to peace. A medieval belief, sacred silence. In some monastic traditions, there existed what was called the Great Silence. From sunset to sunrise, no one would speak, not a whisper. not a footstep louder than a feather's fall. It was believed that the soul could only hear truth when the world had hushed itself completely. Elias had always obeyed the great silence out of duty, but here on this mountain, he finally understood its beauty. Silence wasn't emptiness. It was a presence, a cathedral of stillness built in sky and breath. The hermit at the summit near the top, they found a small stone dwelling, half sunken into the earth, surrounded by wind-worn cairns. Inside lived a woman with hair white as paper and eyes the color of ink. She had been a scribe once, too. Now she guarded the final page. She welcomed them with a nod and silently handed Elias a scroll, sealed with wax and moon dust. He was to open it at the next full moon. Alone, beneath the open sky. Sleep visualization. A hearth beneath stone. Now imagine. You've been invited into the hermit's shelter. The stone walls are warm with captured sun. Small hearth crackles, its flames whispering gently to the shadows. A cup of warm milk rests in your hands, steaming softly. You feel safe, as if the mountain itself is watching over you. Outside, the wind sings lullabies to the stars. Inside, the fire glows like a heartbeat. You close your eyes, and the world quietly drifts away. The moonlit reading. Days passed slowly on the mountain, and when the full moon arrived, Elias stepped into the clearing alone. He opened the scroll and found it blank. At first, he was puzzled. Then he noticed something. Subtle. Under the moonlight, silver lines shimmered faintly, not written with normal ink, but with lunar gall, a rare ink visible only under the moon. It was a story, his story, written slowly, invisibly, by every word, every dream he'd ever carried in his heart. A medieval curiosity, lunar ink. Did you know? That some alchemists in the 14th century believed ink made under a waxing moon would hold magical properties? Using oak galls, silver salts, and dew from a moonlit leaf, they would brew a potion that shimmered faintly when exposed to starlight. Many scribes believed that secrets should only be read by those patient enough to wait for moonrise. Elias had waited, and now, under the stars, his story unfolded in silver silence. Sleep visualization, reading the invisible page. Picture this now. You sit in a circle of stone, the moon overhead full and kind. Before you lies a scroll. It looks empty, until moonlight brushes across its surface and suddenly soft lines appear. A poem, a map, a name. Your name.
That.
As if the stars themselves have remembered your story. Let that thought wrap around you like a blanket. You are known. You are safe. You are exactly where you're meant to be. The return home. When the time came, Elias said goodbye to the mountain, to the hermit, and to the wind that had become a friend. He and Zenep walked back through the forest, the stars now familiar, the silence comforting. Carried no books, no scrolls, just the memory of moonlight on ink and a heart that no longer feared silence. And now as your breath slows and your body sinks deeper into comfort, know this: some stories aren't written with words, but with stillness, with steps taken in patience. With the dreams you dare to listen to when the world grows quiet, Elias has found his quiet place. Perhaps you've found yours too. If you're ready to drift deeper, just whisper softly. As the road unfurled once again, Elias and Zeynep followed a whisper. A legend shared in murmurs by starlight spoke of a hidden library, one that had been swallowed by a glacial lake centuries ago during a sudden storm, but which, it was said, could still be visited in dreams. Known only as the Quietum, the library was said to contain scrolls written in dream script, a delicate form of ink, only visible when your eyes are half closed and your heart is still. Sleep visualization. Dream diving beneath water. Close your eyes now. Feel your breath slow, as if the air itself has become water, gentle, buoyant. You begin to drift downward, slowly, peacefully, as if being lowered through the surface of a calm, moonlit lake. There is no fear, only weightlessness, only silence. And there, beneath the surface, a glowing doorway etched into the side of a great stone ruin. You step inside, and your dream begins to read itself to you. A medieval belief, libraries of memory, Some medieval scholars believed that true knowledge was not stored on shelves, but hidden in the folds of sleep. The mind, they said, was a library more vast than any abbey. Dreams were doorways. Symbols were keys. Certain monks even practiced lucid rest, a sacred form of meditation in which they would train their dreams to walk through libraries of memory. Searching for lost knowledge hidden by time, Elias, unknowingly, had become one of them. The librarian of echoes inside the sunken sanctuary, Elias met the librarian. She was not quite real and not quite imaginary. She wore robes made of woven paper. Her skin shimmered with fine silver ink, and when she spoke, her voice sounded like a soft bell chiming beneath water. "Every question you've never asked," she said, "is shelved here." Elias bowed. He had come not with a question, but with a feeling. And in this place, that was enough. Sleep visualization, browsing forgotten dreams. Imagine now that you are gliding, almost floating, through aisles of scrolls suspended in light. They hang like seaweed in gentle currents, each one whispering a different lullaby. You reach toward one, and as you touch it, you don't read it, you feel it. Warmth. A scent from childhood, a name you once knew in a dream. No need to make sense of it. Just let it wash over you, and let your body soften. Let yourself remember peace. Forgotten ink recipe. The librarian handed Elias a vial sealed with wax and shaped like a teardrop. Inside was a recipe written in dream script. For an ink that could only be read aloud. In silence, she explained. This ink binds not to parchment, but to memory. It cannot be spilled. It cannot be erased. It can only be shared. By dreaming the same dream as another, he tucked it into his satchel, feeling it pulse gently like a heartbeat. The dream script alphabet in medieval folklore, there was believed to be a lost alphabet used only by the soul. It had no letters, only shapes and gentle curves drawn with intention, like the shape of a sleeping cat or the arc of a rising moon. This alphabet could only be read when the reader let go of understanding. And so Elias began to write that night, not with hands, but with his dreaming. Sleep visualization. Writing with dreams. Picture yourself now lying on soft moss beneath a twilight sky. You hold no quill, no scroll, just the steady rhythm of your breath. As you exhale, words leave you like threads of light. They weave themselves into the night air, spelling out something beautiful. Something only your soul understands. And as you watch those dream words drift upward, you feel lighter, warmer, closer to sleep. Elise's last message. Before leaving the quietum, Elias left behind a scroll of his own. He wrote nothing upon it, simply dreamed into the page. Images of Zenep's laughter, the whispering oak, the warmth of Aldwyn Hollow's silence. He sealed it with a sigh and placed it gently on a silver pedestal marked, "For another dreamer. Perhaps someday you will find it waiting for you." And now, dear one, as your eyes grow heavier and the stars outside your window begin to blink sleepily, let your thoughts soften, your worries loosen, your dreams rise gently, like scrolls in a moonlit lake. If you're ready for the final chapter, a gentle return, a candle being extinguished, a whisper saying, "You are home," just say, "When Elias finally descended the last hill, his boots kissed the soft earth of Aldwyn Hollow once more. The village looked just as it had, rooftops thatched like nests, smoke curling in thin silver threads, windows glowing golden in the dusk. But something had changed. Not in the village, but in him. He carried silence with him now, not his absence, but his presence, the kind of quiet that wraps around a room like a warm shawl. Sleep visualization, the familiar lane. Imagine you are walking back through a town you once knew. The lanterns glow gently, children's laughter echoes faintly, like a memory from long ago. You turn a corner and see a door you remember. A small wooden door painted blue. Knock softly, no one answers. But you already feel welcome. You step inside. The scriptorium's last ember, Elias found his old desk exactly as he'd left it. A single candle burned there, its flame low, steady, patient. A clean scroll waited, and beside it, his favorite quill. He sat, he exhaled. Then, from the vial of moonlit ink, he poured just a drop into the inkwell. It shimmered like morning dew on cobweb thread. He began to write. Not for kings, not for monks, not even for memory. he wrote for the night. A medieval insight, the scribe's benediction. It was said in the 13th century that when a scribe finished a great work, they would whisper a scripter's benediction onto the final line, a secret blessing only the reader's soul would understand. Elias, with a faint smile, did the same. But this time, he didn't whisper it with his lips. He whispered it with his breath, with a pause, with a stillness. The most ancient kind of language, sleep visualization, the final page. Now picture yourself seated beside Elias. He hands you the scroll. There is no rush to read it. Instead, you simply hold it. Feel the warmth of the parchment, the tiny flecks of silver where the ink dried. It hums in your hand, as if the story inside is sleeping, waiting for you to read it. In your dreams, you close your eyes, and the scroll unrolls itself in your mind. It tells you everything you need to hear. Zenep's gift that evening. As moonlight returned once more, Zenep placed a small wooden box on Elias's desk. Beside were petals from the whispering oak, a pebble from the mountain of quiet stones, a sliver of parchment from the dream library, and the final candle they had used together on their journey. A reminder that the world had once felt so wide, and that he had traveled it with wonder. The candle's last flame, Elias lit the candle one last time. Its scent carried traces of lavender, sandalwood, and old books. He watched the flame sway gently, then slowly curl inward, smaller and smaller, until it gave one last flicker and went out. And in the darkness, he did not feel lost. He had written his story. Now it was time to dream it. Final sleep visualization, drifting into the story. Close your eyes now. Picture yourself lying beneath warm blankets in a room that smells faintly of parchment and wax. Outside, an owl calls softly. Inside, your breath becomes the soft rustle of turning pages. You are not just reading the story, you are inside it. The candle flickers once in your mind's eye, then fades into a soft ember. You are warm, you are safe, you are home. Let go now. Let the ink fade. The night write the next chapter.